Here we go. It's recording. Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Brittany Ransom and this is the Apprentice Podcast. So welcome. This will be this is just like a little bonus episode, I guess. I'm about to say this is gonna be an episode, but it's not really an episode. It's kind of like it's definitely a bonus episode. But I wanted to use this time to talk a little bit about myself and, well, that wasn't the intention. I take that back. It was originally was supposed to have the next episode come out this week. Actually over the weekend. Actually, it is Monday, so this is me recording it late. But yes, there's a little technical difficulties, so I was like, I don't want to leave anybody hanging. So we're gonna make an episode about just me, about just as being as host and what's it been like doing this podcast, what I've learned. It's important for you to know, like, oh, why is it so late? Our episode's supposed to come out on Friday? Well, that is very much true. But I started second guessing myself. I was like, I don't think anyone wants to hear my voice. And I thought it was kind of funny because that was the reason why I almost didn't start a podcast. Because I was like, I don't want anybody hearing my voice. I don't like my voice. All these little insecure things. But it was me like stepping out and just thinking like, well, it's not about me. It's about the people I'm interviewing. It's about the audience, what people are learning. Because what I wanted to communicate through this podcast is just like that's why it's called the Apprentice Podcast, was because it's about learning outside of a typical classroom. Like, I know not everybody loves school. That's why it's called. Well, let me back up. So yeah, an apprentice is someone who goes out. They go into the community, they go to the job a job that they're interested in, and they go do what is called an apprenticeship. And with that, they go and actually work in that career. They work under someone, a supervisor, or someone that's been in this career that's longer than they have, and they can teach them, it can mentor them. And it's almost like a mentorship mixed with the internship, mixed with, real life, I guess. And I'm the type of person who, I know not everybody is like me. I'm the type of person who likes school, at least the idea. Oh, well, I don't say I like school. I think I like education. And I love education. I love learning. I love the idea of continuous learning. Learning never stops, so you can learn any which way through life, through school, through people, do anything. It doesn't have to be just a classroom. And that's why I think what turned me off from school versus the education. Because, I like learning, I like school, but I like learning, but didn't like always going in, 8 a.m. somewhere to learn in these box-like classrooms and all that, blah, blah, blah. No hate against that. Maybe that's all the resources that we have here as a nation, like here in America. But I would love to see school and just education transform into something different. And of course, that'll take a long time because education is kind of like already rooted right now in our country the way it is. But you never know, that could change. I want to be part of that change. But that's like a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But maybe not. We'll see. Really, I want to teach people that okay, you can learn by just going outside and using your resources. Like for me, it started off with using something like, well, when I say using your resources, I mean finding people that do what you want to do. And with the internet nowadays, you can do that so quickly, so easily. It's so easy to do it. You just have to for me at least, it started off with a quick LinkedIn message. Like, I just graduated from Auburn University like last year. It's currently, I'm recording this August 2023. I graduated August 2022 of last year, so I know a year out. It's crazy. I graduated last year. But before that, I was like the vice president of my chapter of the NSBE chapter, which NSBE stands for National Society of Black Engineers. And there was in 2020, of course, it was 2020, And so the biggest thing was like, okay, how do we get these companies and these recruiters to come see our members if it's 2020 and no one's going to go anywhere? So that was the time I was like, okay, well, I want to get recruiters still. I want people to connect with. I want my members to connect with as many people or whoever they want. So I was like, oh, don't we have the internet? Let's just do these group Zoom calls with all these recruiters, and that could be the meetings. And so I literally LinkedIn messaged as many people as I could. Some people responded. Some people responded. Some people didn't. So it didn't matter. I think I was just want to get as many people involved as possible. And there was a lot of people that were involved. We had T-Mobile, NASA, we had IBM. It was like a bunch of different companies that previously had not even talked to any of our members at Auburn University, and I was very excited about that. But then it got me thinking, like, oh, if I can do this for NSBE, what also could I do for myself? Like, if I wanted to, like, look into this career, I can just email someone. I can message them on LinkedIn. One second, I'm gonna close this door. Sorry, my dad was in the kitchen, so I was like, nah. Yes, I said, why can't I use that for myself? So that's why I started just messaging people, recruiters, whether it's recruiters to help me with my resume or just someone who I found really interesting, their career really interesting. I was like, okay, hey, would you like to have a 15-minute coffee chat with me? Or we can talk about, about your life and about what I'm interested in and what you do right now. And then it's kind of like, okay, like, yes, I'm learning. I was in mechanical engineering, but like, it was like, yes, I'm learning what this skill here at our university, but like, there's an infinite amount of things I could possibly learn by just using the internet once in the day, or even going out and like and even with the apprenticeship, it's like going out, not just talking about it, but living it, living what you want to do, living the life that you want to have and to want to pursue for yourself, instead of dreaming about it. And that's what has been a big transition for me, at least in this year too, especially. Because I was one that would like dream about what I wanted to do, which I love engineering. I do love engineering, I think, but I don't want to do just engineering. I want to do engineering and like a creative career and kind of put it all together in one. What would that look like? I don't know, but I'm excited to see what happens for that in the future. That's my goal right now. But being able to take, even though I don't know what that looks like specifically, it's still going on and being like, well, what interests me right now? What can I do right now to elevate myself or elevate my community? And I was like, podcasts, cool. And I was like, I don't know what kind of podcast I want to make. But then I was like, okay, and this is not me. This is definitely the Lord Jesus that gave this to me, for sure. But I became inspired. I was like, oh, duh, I'm messaging these people and asking, oh, can I connect with you, da da da. And I always say 15-minute coffee chats, but they always end up being like an hour. And so when I go on these chats, I learn so much. And I'm like, I would know so many people would love to learn all this advice that's being given to me. I know other people would want to hear as well. And so I said, let's start this podcast. And the name didn't come for a while. I think at one point I was going to call it The Spot. And one of my friends said that was lame. I think, hear me out. I was going to call it The Spot because it was originally, and it still low-key does, but I need to get back to it a little bit more. But it's about going and interview someone in the place that they feel they're most comfortable. Like, this is the spot. Like, when someone says, oh, this is the spot, that's what I'm thinking. The spot, it just sounds lame if it's just by itself. The spot, you just like, excuse me. But then the word apprentice was given. Lord gave that to me, and I was like, okay, we're moving with this because it's like learning by living, and I wanted to do it because I was inspired. Of course, me being African American, I was inspired by other African Americans because it takes just a whole different level of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a whole different level of, it's not coming to me. There's a whole different level of audacity that you need as an African American just to succeed in this country, in the world. You know what I mean? Because of course you do everything that other counterparts are able to do, but you have to add something else. Always has to be an extra oomph added to it, or extra flair added to it, or you have to be smarter than the rest to get on the same level as anybody else, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I was interested in that because I knew that took a whole lot more than what I could already, I look up on the internet, how do I do this a career? Yeah, it says one thing, but I know it is a whole lot more on the inside that I don't know about, some type of inner work that needs to happen, and I wanted to learn that from people who look like me. And so that was why I wanted to be primarily about African Americans coming in and talking about their careers, whether it's creative career or entrepreneurship. But it's been so much. It's been awesome, really having this podcast and be able to meet and interact with all different kinds of people. I know for me, I've found that I really enjoy the interviewing and talking part more so. So moving forward, I am looking to get sponsorships for anybody who's interested for the podcast, and maybe a subscription base or a sponsorship. We'll see moving forward. So look out for that. Just so I can keep the podcast going. So hopefully I can interview more people in the podcast and just to learn from more people and allow you as the audience to learn from more people. So, but yes, my goal is to continue the podcast. I want to be a streamline it because I am, oh, surprise, surprise. I don't think I said this. I'm going back to school. Yay! Engineering design is what I'm going to do. So I'll be moving to the Evanston, Illinois. So that's like 30 minutes north from Chicago, if for reference. But yes, I'll be going to Northwestern. So I'm super excited. Yeah, I'm super excited into engineering design. So I want to be able to build products, but I've also been interested in immersive spaces. So we're going to hopefully interact with that a little more. But that's like a whole different part of myself. But yes, so I'm looking to streamline the podcast, but also be able to interview more people and to continue to stay inspired as well as inspire you as the audience. So that's like the update for the podcast. I think other stuff that I've learned this year, I literally saw a podcast. I literally saw a TikTok, and I'm not ashamed to say I look find stuff on TikTok. TikTok is technically the internet, but I learned so much. I get a lot of news from there. And then verified news. Not all the time, but I have to verify it myself, so don't judge. But yes, I saw on TikTok this guy was saying how, I don't know, I forgot the specific question he was asking, but he was just basically trying to figure out, it's basically him figuring out, okay, what is the life I'm gonna live? Like, he was like 23 like me. He's like, I've been a year out of college, and it's like, is this it? And the answer is no, it's not it. That's what part of the reason I started this podcast, because I wanted to create that platform I want to create that foundation that says there is so much more to learn and to grow in and to gain from this life if we were just even explore outside the bounds of what we know and love for ourselves, or even the boundaries that we set in ourselves. Like for me, of course I'm introverted. I'm quiet sometimes, depending on what setting I'm in, but sometimes. And as I even said at the beginning of this, I didn't really like my voice as much. Still trying to get over that as well. And then here I am starting a podcast, connecting with people that I don't know, I didn't previously know, and talking with strangers. And I love it. And so just venturing about like what do you think is possible in your life? What do you think is possible? What do you think is impossible? And how can you change that? How can you venture outside of that? How do you know that what you think is impossible for you? Who knows? Who knows? Like, when I saw another piece of advice, I was like, oh, you never know. You could be a chef and you don't know it. Have you ever tried to make a gourmet meal? No, probably not. But you would never know because you never tried it. You're like, oh, I don't want to, or da, da, da. You don't know. You don't know until you try it. And this whole life, whether people admit it or not, is trial and error. I don't know if this podcast is going to work. I don't know if it will last more than a year. I started in March, so who knows if it will last up until next March. If it does, great. If not, that's fine. There's so many other things I could try out, and learn from and grow from. And so, that's how I've kind of taken in this year, especially this year of like being outside of school, outside the formal way of learning, being able to get alone with myself and figure out the why behind what I do and why I do things. I said the why behind the why. Doesn't make sense. I guess the why behind what I do. Looking deeply into that and the way I think about myself and about the world around me. And I thought about it. I was very much, and I'll say I'm getting over it. I was very much intimidated by the world around me. And I was just like, oh, everybody's too smart for me. People are too charismatic for me. Like, I'll never be that good at that. I'll never be this good at this. And I was always downplaying the way that I lived and that the way I interacted with other people. And then I was always like, oh, this person, like, whoever it could be, I was like, oh, they're a lot better at this than me. All this comparison back and forth. And I had to learn to enjoy my own lane. Like, this is my lane, comparing me to me. Because I'm all I got at this point. Not really. I got Jesus, I got my family, I got my friends. All those things. But it's like, literally, at the end of the day, it's you and you. It's you and yourself in the mirror. And it's all about what you're going to say. It's all about And it's all about how you handle that relationship, you to you, because that's crucial. It's crucial. I had to come to face that myself and just figure out, okay, why am I so intimidated? Why am I so intimidated by people around me? Um, why am I intimidated by life? Why am I so afraid to step out of this box that I've created for myself? 'Cause I used to not be as scared. Of course, I was, younger. I was a little kid. I was a kid, so I was like, oh, the world's your oyster for real. But it still is, I think. No, not I think. I know this. I was just leading on to another sentence, but I think just as we grow older as adults, we kind of narrow the way what we can do. Which, of course, it is a little bit narrowed if you think, depending on how you think about it. But at the same time, it's all about what you're gonna let stand as a legit fear in your life. What are you going to let stand against you? Fear of failure, which I've come to realize this past year is learning. It's a stepping stone of learning. It's a way you can learn about yourself and about how you interact with the world. Fear of like loneliness. Like I said, I've learned, even though I do still interact with people, I'm not like lonely all the time, but I have come to learn how to be alone with myself and to learn about me. But yeah, there's all these fears that come against, but you get to determine which fears have power over you and which don't. You get to determine which fears have power over you. And be able to understand that you have that power in yourself. It's a mental game. It's a reminder to yourself each and every day that, okay, this thing has no control over me. You have control over you. Literally, this comes down to like, you talk about those people who are, this sounds so rude, but those people when you get hired at a job, personality hires, which it sounds very rude. Okay, everyone has experience, of course, but like sometimes it's all about like what you could have like no experience in a job, but have all the energy, but have the willingness to learn, but you have the you've researched to understand what it takes to have this skill. Like you have the grit, you have everything you need. You don't know like maybe half the requirements, but you have the willingness, and people will be able to notice that. They'll be able to see like, okay, you don't even if they notice that, oh, you don't have all the requirements you need to get to where you need to get to, but sometimes it takes like being able to not even to not giving that fear any power and to move forward anyway, move forward despite. People will see that and they'll want to know you, they'll want to hire you, they'll want to move you forward, elevate you, connect with you, because they see that you're not going to let something as small as a single doubt in your mind let you stop you from pursuing your goal, pursuing your passions, and pursuing the career that you want. Whether it's career, whether it's a dream, whether it's a project, whatever it is, you're not gonna let that stop you. And I think, I need to stop saying I think I know. I know this is something that I will adopt more so, especially even moving. I'm moving to a whole new state, y'all. Never lived, y'all. About to move in the city, and I'm saying y'all. It's gonna be a great time. But that's something I'm learning about myself. Just having that audacity, and I almost call the podcast that too, audacity, or something with the word audacity in it. Maybe I will still start another one with the word audacity in it. No one steal it, please. But yeah, yes, I'm excited about this new era of my life, and I don't know if everyone's feeling the same thing I'm feeling, but 2023 just feels like a new year. Feels like the year. I feel like we're on the cusp of something. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it is yet, but it's exciting. And so I guess I don't know if this podcast was gonna be has affected you. Hopefully, it affected you in a positive way. Just learning a little bit more about me. I guess it's gonna say much about me. I guess quick run through about me. I've grown up in a military family. Was born in Clarksville, Tennessee. Never lived there a day in my life. I have two younger sisters. They both go to Auburn, and I did Auburn University for mechanical engineering. I went there for that, and now I'm about to go to Northwestern. Yeah. I don't know anything else, but besides those, favorite color is purple. There's that. But I guess besides even like just those like basic things about myself, I really wanted to share with y'all how I've grown a little bit about how I've grown this past year because I've grown so much. I cut my hair this year. Fun fact. It used to be an afro, and now it's a no fro. Well, it's kind of a fro, tiny fro. I need to get another haircut. before I go. If y'all have any recommendations for hair, a barber in Evanston or Chicago, let me know. But anyway, yes, I wanted to share with you all a little bit about me and my story, and I hope y'all enjoy this. And I hope to connect with y'all. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribing to Spotify. You don't already Spotify, go ahead, to Apple Music and subscribe there. Follow us on YouTube, the Apprentice Podcast, the Apprentice underscore pod on YouTube, and Apprentice underscore pod on Instagram as well. So follow us on Instagram, follow the YouTube, subscribe to Spotify. Even if you only go in there once, go ahead and subscribe and pop off, whichever one. And yeah. And if you enjoyed this episode, maybe I'll do more of these. We'll see, maybe for season 3. And maybe I'll pop out with more, with maybe more outlined material, I know this was kind of like off the cusp, but I kind of feel like I had to do it like this because I was getting very intimidated. It's kind of like intimidating myself. I was like, okay, I have to have a whole plan. Da, da, da. And that's one thing. What's it called? What's the word? What's the wording? Oh yes, that's the perfectionist in me. But the wording was analysis paralysis. So don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. That's what I would have been stuck in. So that's why I just had to do this. But I'm glad I did it, and I'm very excited. I hope you all love this episode. I hope you all love all the future episodes coming up, and I hope you all have a blessed week. All right, see y'all.